On May 24th, 2025, Chelsea killed the dream of a growing dynasty.
By Murillo. Been a good start this, and Neto's in! Colwill must score! And Colwill does!
That 1-0 defeat ended what could have been one of the most extraordinary stories in Premier League history. A team with 5,000 to 1 odds of reaching the Champions League, fighting until the very last whistle, only to fall short. But that single result triggered something far bigger, a butterfly effect so big it changed everything. Within weeks, Nottingham Forest went from the brink of Champions League to the edge of an identity crisis. They slipped to the Europa League, lost the man who made them matter again,
And Nottingham Forest have sacked head coach Nuno Espirito Santo.
and handed the keys of their growing dynasty to a man with little to no experience in building. But at the center of it all was one man who couldn't stand not being in control. How one man sabotaged a title-winning team for ego. Few people today remember just how rich Nottingham Forest's history once was. But long before the modern Premier League era, before the billion-pound takeovers, before VAR, this small club from the Midlands ruled Europe. Under legendary manager Brian Clough, they did the unthinkable. They won back-to-back European Cups in 1979 and 1980. But it wasn't just the trophies, they created belief that from humble beginnings in the Intercities Fair Cup in 1961, they could grow to go toe-to-toe with knocking out giants like Liverpool and Ajax. Forest became a symbol of English football's golden age. But after 1996, the lights went out. That season's UEFA Cup quarter-final defeat to Bayern Munich would be their last European appearance for nearly 3 decades. But as the rest of English football grew richer, Forest grew forgotten. By 2023, the story felt finished. Relegation was the only possibility for them. They were sitting 17th and ready for the sentence waiting to be carried out. But then something happened. 2 years before Chelsea killed their dream, Nottingham Forest were dying. 18th in the table, lowest expected goals in the league, second worst defense in the Premier League. They were also a team without rhythm, without confidence, without purpose or identity. Every weekend looked the same. Desperate defending, hopeful long balls, another loss. The club had spent millions, but looked bankrupt in ideas. And when relegation started breathing down their necks, Forest turned to a man no one expected to say yes. Nuno Espirito Santo walked in quietly, but his impact wasn't quite at all. Within weeks, the chaos stopped making noise. He didn't buy miracles, he coached them. He rebuilt Nottingham Forest from the ground up, turned them to a side organized, compact, lethal on the break. In his first season, they went from 17th to 7th, from conceding 1.8 goals per game to just 0.9, from scoring 39 goals to 69 goals. But the stats only tell half the story. They were as competitive as any other side in the league. In fact, they beat Liverpool at Anfield, took points off Arsenal and City, dismantled Spurs 3-1. Every top team suddenly feared the City ground again. Chris Wood rediscovered his fire, registering 20 goals, 6 assists. Anthony Elanga became unplayable. Hudson-Odoi looked reborn. And in the middle of it all, Morgan Gibbs-White became the engine, the rhythm, the soul. For the first time in decades, Forest had an identity. A team that didn't just survive games, but they also scared people. They were everything their owner said he wanted. Disciplined, fearless, modern. Until he realized one thing: he didn't control it.
Look, I always had a very good relationship with the owner. Last season was very close, almost daily basis. This season, not so well. But I always believe that dialogue and what you say or your opinion is always valid, because my concern is the squad and the season that we have ahead of us. But our relations has changed.
It's changed?
Yeah, it's not so close. It's not on a daily basis. So, yeah.
Is that a good thing though? Or?
No, it's not good. It's not good. I think everybody at the club should be together, but it's not the reality.
Last season, we spoke every day. This season, not so well. Everyone at the club should be together, but that's not the reality. At the time, no one thought much of that quote, but looking back now, that's the moment everything began to break. But what really happened? Well, to understand what came next, you need to understand the man who runs Nottingham Forest. To understand Nottingham Forest's rise, you have to understand the man who thought he built it. Evangelos Marinakis is a Greek businessman, billionaire, politician, shipping magnate, and one of the most powerful men in European football. He built Olympiakos into a Greek dynasty, 10 league titles in 13 years, a reputation for dominance, and a culture of absolute control. To his supporters, he's a visionary, but to those who knew him truly, he was simply a dictator in a suit. Think Abramovich, but with less love and swag. And when he bought Nottingham Forest in 2017, he brought the same empire mindset with him. At first, fans loved him. He invested heavily, promised ambition, and said the right things. And to be fair, he did bring them back to relevance. Nottingham found stability with him. They clawed their way slowly from relegation to Premier League relevance, and ever since have been a thorn on the sides of anyone who's truly following. But over time, some patterns began to emerge. Marinakis wasn't just an owner, he was always in the room, literally. He'd walk into the dressing room mid-game, give speeches before kickoffs, and demand explanations for substitutions. And when results started coming under Nuno Espirito Santo, it created a problem Marinakis didn't expect. Forest were succeeding, but not on his terms, so his first move was to control the structure. He appointed a new sporting director, Edu Gasper, formerly at Arsenal, without consulting Nuno. Nuno resisted. He didn't trust Edu, didn't believe in his vision, and tension inside the boardroom began to boil. Marinakis never hid how he felt either. Watch this. Then came the summer of 2025. Tottenham came calling for Morgan Gibbs-White. Somehow, Spurs found the release clause of Morgan Gibbs-White and immediately activated it instead of letting the clubs handle negotiations privately. Marinakis did the unthinkable. He staged a public interview with the player. That awkward moment, a billionaire owner sitting beside his star player on camera, went viral for all the wrong reasons. Fans mocked it, the media tore it apart, and for the first time, Marinakis wasn't in control of the narrative. He needed someone to blame, someone to sacrifice, and who better than the man who'd made Forest relevant again. But what followed next was an evolution, was something even he couldn't have predicted. It was self-destruction. It didn't make sense. Not then, not now. A manager who took Nottingham Forest from the brink of relegation to the edge of Europe, gone. A team that had finally found an identity, leaderless again. Within days, the new era began. Evangelos Marinakis introduced his modern successor, Ange Postecoglou, a man freshly dismissed by Tottenham after finishing 17th, a man whose entire philosophy was chaos, attack first, defend later. Marinakis called him the perfect fit for the club's next phase, but what he really meant was someone I can control. Because if you go back just a few months ago, it all begins to make sense. Postecoglou's arrival was sold as evolution, but on the pitch, it was the worst decision ever. Nuno's disciplined 4-3-3 shape vanished. The compact press was gone. Reckless overlaps, exposed centre-backs, endless transitions. The same defense that once suffocated teams now looked like strangers chasing ghosts. In Nuno's final 25 matches, Forest conceded only 23 goals. In Postecoglou's first 5, they've conceded 11, and he's still yet to win a single game. Every week, the same story. Promises start collapsing into panic. Chris Wood, who thrived as a focal point, is left isolated. Morgan Gibbs-White, once the creative heartbeat, was dragged too deep to influence games. And for the first time in 2 years, the City ground went quiet again. Right now, Forest sits 17th in the league, just like they were in 2023. No wins, 5 losses, and a dressing room that no longer believes. Fans stopped singing Nuno's name because it hurt too much to remember what had been. The same players who fought for him now looked lost under orders they didn't understand. And through it all, up in his glass box, Marinakis watches. Calm, collected, convinced he'd done the right thing. But every defeat screamed the truth louder. This is in progress. This was pride disguised as vision. What began as Nottingham's modern fairy tale was now unraveling, one match at a time. When Nuno Espirito Santo was sacked, Nottingham Forest didn't just lose a coach, they lost their compass. Ange Postecoglou's appointment was supposed to represent progress, a bold new chapter, but deep down everyone knew what it really was, a statement of defiance from a man who couldn't share the spotlight. Postecoglou's name came straight out of Marinakis himself. No consultations, no shortlists, no logic. It was a decision that said, Forest doesn't need a system, Forest needs me in charge. Postecoglou inherited a squad built for structure, not chaos. It's like trying to drive a Formula 1 car off-road, and everyone could see it coming. And as the defeats piled up, the story shifts from tactical failure to something worse, isolation. The dressing room split in two. Every week feels heavier, every game another reminder of what they had lost. By the end of October, Nottingham Forest had fallen from Europe's radar to England's cautionary tale. From miracle workers to a meme. But the truth is, this collapse didn't start with tactics, it started with ego. When Evangelos Marinakis fired Nuno Espirito Santo, he didn't just remove a coach, he removed the one man who could tell him no. Nottingham Forest had everything: belief, unity, and a coach who turned chaos into order. But one man's ego destroyed it all. Now the miracle is gone, the stadium's quiet, and the team that once defied odds looks ordinary again. Because when control becomes more important than progress, even miracles collapse. But while Forest are crumbling under pride, somewhere else in England, another story is being written. A story about a manager who's quietly revolutionizing his team with tactics, trust, and time.